More people are signing up for DNA Ancestry testing to trace their family's history.
Yeah, for one Central Florida man, it became an eye-opening experience when his DNA wound up cracking a cold case.
And when you told me that my DNA helped solve a 17-year cold case murder, I just couldn't believe it.
John Hogan had never heard of Christine Frank, a 25-year-old University of Central Florida student who was gunned down in her Orlando apartment in 2001. Police say the killer left his DNA behind at the crime scene. But for 17 years, detectives could not match that DNA to anyone.
I always was interested in my heritage and my family and my culture.
A few years ago, Hogan signed up for the genealogy service Ancestry DNA. His DNA test results were later uploaded to GEDmatch, a separate online database used to identify potential relatives.
And we have a huge family.
Hogan didn't know that Orlando police had uploaded the killer's DNA to that same database. Detectives soon discovered that the person who murdered Christine Frank was genetically related to him.
Wow. That's amazing.
Starting with Hogan, genealogists identified his parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, including Charlie Bergman, who died 50 years ago and is now buried outside this rural church. Investigators then began tracing Bergman's other descendants, trying to find family members whose DNA was even more similar to the killer's. As Orlando police made their way down that family tree, it led them to a 79-year-old woman named Eleanor Holmes in Valdosta, Georgia, who willingly gave them a DNA sample. Investigators quickly learned the killer was likely one of her two sons, Reginald or Benjamin, both living in Central Florida. Undercover detectives secretly collected a Gatorade bottle used by Reginald Holmes, but determined the DNA he left on it was not a match. So investigators turned to his brother, who they saw smoking cigars like these. Police say DNA on the cigar tips matched DNA at the crime scene. Soon, Benjamin Holmes was in handcuffs, charged with first-degree murder. Hogan had never met the man who was his second cousin, but he was glad his DNA helped crack a cold case.
If you break the law, and if you commit a crime, and in this case it's a murder, you have to stand trial and you're gonna have to go to jail. You're gonna have to pay the penalty.
Hogan said he did not feel his privacy was violated, but the story did raise concerns. Recently, the GEDmatch database changed its rules. You must now opt in to allow police to use your information without a warrant.